So, we talked about star buns a little bit earlier, and I sent you some information on those because they are very complicated.
Right.
And that's the thing too. I was saying earlier is that people need to have. I don't want to say lower your expectations of a Kansas House person, but you should not expect Kansas House representatives that have never ran before or held any public office, which are the kind of people we want because they're not just trying to be political career people. You should not expect them to have come at you with policy at this point, even before the primary. Even they're still learning. They're just regular people, right? How much do you really know about star bonds? Are you an expert on star bonds yet?
I'm not gonna lie. When you told me that, I was just like, what? So I did my little research of what you told me and stuff like that. So
I
was like,
okay,
I know.
Word documents.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, I know what you're talking about. I've heard a little bit about it and stuff like that. Not to.
It's a big issue.
I've heard it's a big issue. So I'm just like, okay, that's another.
But I think that a lot of it, I need to get those Substacks out there so everyone can see it. But there's just a lot of misinformation about star bonds. I'm not saying I'm for or against them. I don't, what I try to do when I write my stuff and put out like the star bond stuff is I'm not trying to have an opinion.
Correct.
I'm trying to just put out the facts about star bonds. I like a lot of data, spreadsheets.
Right. I got to see the facts.
So that's the truth to me, and I try to leave opinion out of it as much as possible when I'm doing things like that. I don't, unless it's something I know really well, I feel like I'm an expert on and I have a strong opinion about.
Correct.
But otherwise, I don't have a strong opinion on star bonds. But I do see that there's a lot of misinformation out there that is not being explained properly. And people aren't understanding how they work. And so I do want to get those out there.
So like I said, like this is my first time like really knowing about it and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm a big research person.
Oh, you were like, send me all you got.
Send me all the information. I'll break it all down and I can explain it all.
Yeah, and I keep it in I try to keep it in more like layman's terms. I have a background in, a little about me, I have a background in like educationally wise in communications. I was a bookkeeper. I did not ever make money off the education I'm using right now, which I basically have one class away from a degree in integrated marketing communication from Wichita State. And so, it's a great program. So it teaches a little PR, a little marketing, a little journalism, video editing, all sorts of stuff.
Correct.
And so, where was I going with that? They're going to do this all the time.
And we just get the chatting and...
My point, I want to learn things, and I'm very analytical about it, and I do have like a journalist soul. I Hunter S. Thompson in high school was my hero, and then later on, Seymour Hersh. I don't know if you know a lot of people don't know his name, but they know his work, and so I just want to get the truth out there. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it fits my narrative. I don't care.
And that's what I'm saying. We need to know the truth. Nobody in this
That's what I'm saying. We need to send someone like you
that
will go in there.
They don't want to tell people the truth. They're like, oh, that's not a good look. No, forget all that. This is what's happening. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to be prepared for.
Forget about the next election. If I get elected to something and I only got one term, I'm going to go in there and fight as hard as I can to do what I think is right and to get the truth out. And if I only get one term and people don't want to elect me again because of that,
oh well,
and I guess don't elect me.
But that's the thing about people. People don't want to hear the truth. I want to know the truth. Prepare me. I want to know.
I think part of the problem is this is what point I was going to make earlier. I think part of the problem is that there's comprehension levels.
Definitely,
and so being able to break down these bills and these things that they have purposefully made very difficult to people in a way that they can comprehend, right? And the thing is if you want to reach the most people, you got to keep it at a third grade level. I can't go that low. So I usually say to try to keep it at an eighth grade level when you're trying to talk to somebody. And if you can't take a complex issue and talk about it at an eighth grade level, then you don't really understand it. That's what I heard. So, so when I do my writing, when I do my things, I try to keep it like 8th to 12th grade level. I do want it to be a little smart because it is all about data. I can't help it.
Yeah.
But if you go too high, I know a lot of people, very smart, well-educated people that know a lot of big fancy words.
Right.
But if you're saying all that, if I got to Google a word every 5 seconds when you're talking,
just talk to them like a regular person.
Talk to them like a regular person. I know really smart people that do talk like that all the time, but you got to be. You got to explain things to people at the level you got to meet people where they're at.
I was about to say that.
Meet people where they're at.
You have to meet people where they're at. And my thing is it's not them talking, talking to, because everybody is different. They come from all different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the whole point of IEPs, you know, parent-teacher conference meeting. Some people are just, you know, not at that level, or even if they are at that level and stuff like that, like you said, meet them where they're at.
I think there's a certain amount of people, no matter how many facts or whatever I put in front of them, they're going to be like, no. But I think the majority...
At that point, people just don't care.
Yeah, I think that's not the majority. I don't think that's the
point.
majority of people, though. I think the majority of people... they don't have the time to dig and do 6 articles about star bonds.
Yeah.
Who's got the time for that, to do the research on that, right? Not the everyday citizens don't have the time on that.
Right.
And so it needs to be broken down to them by somebody. And like I said, there's too much going on. The media's not really doing it. And so, you know, I think that is a part of the job of our legislature, is to educate the public on the truth.
Right.
Not spread misinformation,
Exactly.
not spread propaganda, not just spread their, you know, party talking points.
Right.
I think people are real sick of that on both sides, and that I think that's one reason that Trump won, is because they were just so sick of people just talking like robots and just wanted someone just to talk to them like a normal, you know, just talk
but
to me.
also, one thing I can't say about Trump is just going to say whatever he wants to say, too, at the same time. And I think that's why a lot of people did vote for him, is because he
Look, they were desperate. They wanted something different, and he was different.
Yep.
That's, you know what I mean? And they're not out there on... There's just so much misinformation out there, and I think a lot of it has to do with educating the populace. And I think that you, as a Kansas House rep, especially at that level, are learning so much. And as you learn, you should teach us.
Right.
You know, as you learn,
oh yeah, I
you should
believe
teach
in
us.
teaching as I go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very strong on that, teaching as I go. Because my thing is like, oh, I just learned something new. Let me teach them that.
And I like the way, you know, you're going to teach it in a. I bet you do great videos. I'll have to check it out. You're going to teach it in an entertaining way that isn't like going to make me fall asleep.
No. My thing's like, I'm not going to do nothing boring. I like to keep everything
You're
like
just gonna talk
interested.
like a person.
Just talk.
Yeah. Okay.